Well, all fun winning streaks have to come to an end, but no, we're not going to scream. We're not going to cry, but we will point out some concerns, talk about three-point shooting. And we're going to do it all with former player, that's right, MSU legend, Anthony Ianni. Let's go.
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Super Bowl 59 is here, and there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. New customers can bet just $5, and if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started. Spartan friends, Spartan family, Locked On Spartans listeners, we're going to see if we remember how to do this. Losing basketball post-game show, because it's been a while, Anthony. It's been quite some time, which has been nice. It has been quite literally a couple months since we've done this, which is all fun and games, but this game still sucked. Look, 70-64, your Michigan State Spartans went out west, and they've lost their first game. Hopefully they can pick up the pieces on Tuesday, but look, if you guys have listened to a few of these shows or watched a few of these shows, it's no secret we can get very emotional after some losses here. We can turn red in the face. I can make a clown of myself with just how childish and immature I get. But I don't think it's going to be one of these shows. I think after you win 13 games in a row, you can give the team a little bit of grace here. Now, that's not to say that we're not disappointed here. Let's not get it twisted. We're not going to skip through the daisies completely of this show, because there were some disappointing moments, like, for starters, that was a neutral court game. Michigan State fans showed up in droves. They really gave Michigan State a lot of energy in a road venue 3 time zones away. USC is a team that plays just 6 players deep, really, and one of those guys left the game periodically with an injury. Michigan State on fire from the free throw line all season. What an untimely moment for this to happen. 11 of 19 from the charity stripe. Yes, Michigan State did win the rebounding battle 34-33, but rebounding was kind of the story with this game. They gave up 13 second chance points, which isn't a ton, but in a game below 70, that's still enough. And I just cannot get the possession late in the game. MSU down 5 points. They gave the Trojans 4 chances to score because they just couldn't grab a rebound. And look, a game isn't just whittled down to one play. And this player has had a really good season so far, but Jaden Akins taking the ball with 5 seconds left in a must-score possession late and dribbling out the shot clock, again, didn't cost Michigan State the game, but it's just a matter of the fact that as a senior, Jaden, got to be a little more heady than that, my man. So, look, we also got a little bit of concerns, not to make a whole referendum on the season out of one game, but this is the big takeaway I have, Anthony. And it's the first is that, USC is a very athletic team that bothered Michigan State on the offensive end. USC defensively, very athletic. But it's also what Eric Musselman said after the game is that their strategy was to take some defenders off a few Michigan State players on the perimeter. He didn't name drop them all, but you could figure Jeremy Fears at times, Cohen Carr at times, to drop one more guy into the paint so Michigan State couldn't get the half-court offense going in the paint. Michigan State shot 42% on twos. USC was closer to 50% on twos. You add in Michigan State's performance on the free throw lines. Bada boom, bada bing. There's your margin. That's my main takeaway is that when Michigan State just runs into a team that is long and athletic on the defensive end, and if they're going to start sagging off of some guys, okay, it's not to say Michigan State sucks all of a sudden, but, that could be some kryptonite here. That's my main takeaway. I got a few more, but I'll stop hogging up the microphone here, Anthony. I'm sure you've got some thoughts on this game. What was your big takeaway?
I think the 2 biggest takeaways for me, Matt, were obviously the free throw shooting because we go 9 out of 19 and it's a 6-point loss. Like if you go 15 out of 19, that's a tie game and you take your chances in overtime. I mean, heck, you can go 16 out of 19 and you win that game. So the free throw shooting I thought was a big, big surprise for me. And just the rebounding. I mean, you brought it up. We won 34-33, but we've been out-rebounding teams this year by 10+. So, right. And there was one possession where we cut it to 5, I think, with 4 minutes to go. And we gave up not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 offensive rebounds. And it gave USC multiple possessions. And so that's going to be pointed out in the film. And I'm sure Coach Izzo probably doesn't have to point out on film because, I'm pretty sure he's going to let those guys know. Those were my biggest takeaways. And then obviously you got to give USC a lot of credit. They showed up, they played about as well as you could play. And even their center was hitting threes. I was like, when did this guy start hitting threes?
Right.
That's when that's when when stuff like that happens, that it's not going to be your day. Like it was like when my senior year when Georgie Yang from Louisville, who never took a where I'm going with this.
Oh, you're playing the hits now.
The dude never took a 3-point shot in his life. And the second half, when we cut it down to like 6 or 5, he throws one up and it nothing but net. And I just sat there on the bench. I'm like, like really? So that's kind of how I felt today went for our guys. I'm sorry to bring up bad memories. But
no, I just got in a time machine and I'm back at the 6th floor of Wonders right now watching that game in my buddy's dorm. Oh my God, that is still fresh in the memory right there. Sorry to go off on a tangent there and start laughing during a post-game loss episode, but wow, what a callback there. But yeah, I really didn't have an issue with Michigan State's defense necessarily.
No,
I just, like you said, like they did force a lot of late shot clock opportunities for USC, especially in that second half. But sometimes it's another team's game, sometimes it's not. And of course, Michigan State is at fault for a few of these things. But I just really quick, you have been in these film sessions, you've been in the locker room. What gets Izzo the most irate? Is it a bad rebounding performance? Is it going out into outer space on defense? Or like, what is the thing that gets his goat the most? Where the team's going to turn things around from one game to another?
It's the bad rebounding because that's been our program's identity ever since he stepped. Like for 30 years, it's been our identity. Like obviously, there's going to be games where you're going to have a bad night at the free throw line. There's going to be games where you're going to have a bad night shooting from the field. But if you're getting out hustle, you're getting out rebound, and I mean, he's going to lose his mind over that because that's always been our identity. So if we're not winning the rebounding battles by 10 plus, if we're giving up 4 offensive rebounds in one possession, you could bet when we go back to practice the next day, the war drill is going to be like top notch. And it's not going to be done once in practice. It's going to be done like 2 or 3 times, which we did that. We've done that before. So just the rebounding piece, obviously, because like I said, it's part of who we are. It's part of our identity.
And like just early on too, USC takes a 15-point lead early on. At that point, the rebounding margin was 9-3 Trojans. So yes, at the end of the game, Michigan State did come back. They won 34-33 in the boards, but this is where like the box score doesn't paint the full picture of the game. Michigan State playing from behind, like almost at the tip. They never had a lead in this game as far as I'm concerned. So that's where some people on Twitter too, and I think there's some credence to it. It's like if Michigan State gets down big early, they might not be necessarily built to come back, although we've seen them do it. But then again, that was like way back early in the season against Monmouth, Bowling Green, where they're just, talent-wise superior to the teams. But I don't know, like on a scale of 1 to 10, how alarmed are you going forward? For me, right now, I'm still a 4. I could be talked up or down on that though. Like I'm not like obviously pulling the fire alarms right now, but I'm not walking away from that game completely unbothered. You're more rational than I am, though. Are you lower than I am? Are you higher than I am? Where are you at, AI?
No, I'm at a 2 right now.
Okay.
I'm at a 2 because again, like we've gone 2 months without losing a game. I mean, that's the only other team in the country that's done that right now. Just beat their rival today by 15 plus points.
1,000.
So I mean, they're Duke's right now, in my opinion, the best team in the country. Like I've watched enough basketball where I'm watching the SEC, and it's like watching the Big 12 football. Like there's a lot of offense but no defense in that league.
Yeah.
But no, like that's kind of where I'm at. Like I'm not gonna hit the panic button, far from it. Okay. But obviously this is one of the topics we'll get into. Do I think Tuesday's game against UCLA is a must win? 100%, because you cannot come off this West Coast trip with 2 losses in a row, and then you got Oregon, Indiana, Illinois, and Purdue. Yeah. And I think Michigan's in that category too, all coming up. So you gotta get this one. And obviously, from what we've seen going out to the West Coast, it's not easy. It's not easy. And the same could be said for the West Coast teams coming out here, because I think Oregon plays at Michigan. They're not going back home. They're going to stay here for 2 days, 2 nights, and then they play a 12 o'clock game at our house, which is 9 a.m. their time.
Yes.
So they may struggle with that. They will. And so, and again, everybody's trying to get used to it, but at the same time, this is why Coach Izzo scheduled all those West Coast games and the Maui Invitational early, so our guys get used to this. So Tuesday is a must-win because if you come back from the West Coast 1-1, that's a win in my mind.
That's fine.
That's a
deal
win.
With
yes,
it.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, deal with it. And I kind of thought in my head, like, I was talking to my dad last night, and he thought that the UCLA game would be where we take a loss. And I kind of told my dad, I said, kind of just wait and see on that. I said, I think for whatever reason, I think the USC game will be a little bit tougher. But, at the end of the day, I shouldn't hit the panic button. Now, if you're seeing guys struggle, if you're seeing guys like Jay Nakins continue to struggle, and we're barely beating teams that we should beat, and then we take a bad loss to Indiana, then yeah, it's okay to have some concerns. But right now, like, it's not time to hit the panic button. Not even close.
I want to elaborate on that game on Tuesday because I have two more big takeaways. One of them is going to be, the personnel in Michigan State. The other one is going to be Tuesday. Let's keep rolling with that conversation. But first, hey, I'm sorry I got to send you to the bench because I got to talk to people's ears off about FanDuel Sportsbook. Yes, Super Bowl 59 is here. One game, two teams, endless possibilities, and there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. Whether it's predicting the first touchdown, calling the MVP, or even betting on the coin toss, FanDuel makes it easy to get in on the action. With live betting all game long, you can adjust your bets as the game unfolds and feel the thrill from kickoff to the final whistle. The live betting feature lets you stay involved no matter what happens on the field. And, well, the app is super easy to navigate. You get paid immediately. There is plenty to love about FanDuel, especially this part if you're a new customer. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started. Bet just $5 if you're a new customer. And if you win, you're going to score $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Bet with FanDuel, official partner of Super Bowl 59. All right, let's drag it back out here. It's the one, the only Anthony Ianni. And yeah, Tuesday, 10 p.m., Peacock. Did Izzo throw that game on purpose? Because, look, if he wins two more games, that means he beats Bob Knight's record for most Big Ten wins.
And he does it at home.
And he does it at home against Oregon.
On reunion
Fox,
weekend. On reunion
weekend.
There you go.
He threw the game, guys. It's just that easy. All right, we'll just end the episode right there. What is there to overthink?
Have a good night.
Have a good night. Yeah, he just didn't want it to happen on 12:30 in the morning on Peacock for all 14 people to watch. This man wants glitz. He wants glamour. He wants Fox. But now let's talk about Tuesday because actually let's talk about Friday night because Purdue and Indiana played themselves a slugfest of a game. And you know what?
They did.
Mike Woodson, good on you. You got the loss that you coached for because that would have been really nice for Michigan State to get even more separation going into this road trip. But that's where I look at Tuesday being a must-win. It's like not even worrying about us necessarily. It's not just worrying about who UCLA is as a team. It's like,
who's behind you in the standings right now.
Who is behind you. And also, like, the road, down the future. I'm a big worrier, AI. Like, everyone that's listening to this podcast.
No, you?
I'm glad you're sitting down for this. It's real shocking news to take, but Michigan State will be underdogs in 4 remaining games, according to BartTorvik.com. But also, you could look at the schedule and kind of see how that's reasonable. Purdue is underdogs in just 3 of their remaining games. Now, one of those games is, of course, at Breslin Center, but Purdue does have an easier, quote-unquote, easier end to the season than Michigan State. You can't see your 2-game lead on them go up in flames within a 4-day span. I like that. That's where I would start to get a little uncomfortable because, well, we like banners around here in East Lansing. It's been a while since we've won one, and this is the best position Michigan State has been in 5 years to get one of these bad boys. So that's where I go with, like, it sounds ridiculous. It sounds alarmist. 10 regular season games left. Is any game really a must-win? I think it's close. But we'll see. We'll get more into UCLA on the next show. We're going to talk with Locked On UCLA, actually, to get a deeper look in the Bruins. But I digress. I do have one more takeaway.
Sure.
AI, and this is your people, actually. This is the tall person's club right here because it hasn't been a concern because the front court has played fine this year. They've even played good in plenty of games. We've talked about how Jackson Kohler is an elite rebounder. Jamon Sapala is an upgrade. We've seen Carson Cooper grow a little bit too. So while it has been a raise of the floor from last year, this was still a really good opportunity with USC not really have a bona fide big man down there for them to exploit the Trojans, get some good offense out of your front court. They combined for just 11 points. So in a game where you really could have used someone down low to get you easy buckets, Michigan State, while they have had a good season overall, there are going to be games like this where, hey, guys, is there anyone on the low block we could just dump the ball down to and, get a bucket? It didn't happen here. What do you have to say for your tall people, AI? Like, are they fine? Am I overreacting? Am I panicking? Or, like, I don't know, just level set me here, please.
I think the bigs just had a bad game. I really think they did because
nothing more than that. Okay.
No, yeah, because again, how USC played us today, I mean, you couldn't have done it any better. And teams are going to force Jackson Kohler to shoot the ball. I mean, and there's going to be a game where he's going to go 4 out of 5 from 3, and you know it's going to happen. And And obviously with Sapala, like he took a bad fall today. Like he took a bad fall during the game today, and he kind of got out of a bit of a rhythm a little bit. And so I didn't notice much of him much in the second half either. And he didn't really have that, that burst of energy that he always has in games. So I think it'll be different on Tuesday night for our bigs. I would really like to see Xavier Booker get in the mix more. I obviously I know fans are getting really – they have a really short leash with him right now. He's kind of treading the waters a little bit. But, obviously it's a hot and cold deal for him. But, I think the stat is for him, I think he's made 1 or 2 3-pointers like in his last 20-some attempts. And again, same with him. Like he's a capable shooter, but all it takes is one. All it takes for him to hit one, and then he's going to go on a streak. So, but again, I mean, this is the best post play we've had in a long time. And so I still trust our bigs. I still trust them to get it done. And again, I think at the end of the day, it was just a bad day at the office. It just was. It just really was. So they'll watch the film tonight since they're on West Coast time. They'll watch the film. They'll throw it away, and then they'll move on to the next game.
Yeah, Booker, 2 points, 1 of 3 shooting, just 1 rebound. It was only in 11 minutes. It's not like he played a ton tonight, but I've said this take before on Locked On Spartans. It's been a while, so let's just get it out. Just present it. We like to drink this age take every once in a while. As far as fan expectation or idiot talking heads like myself's expectations of players, is the worst thing that's happened to Xavier Booker him going from 80th or whatever he was in the rankings all of a sudden to top 10 almost overnight? I feel like this would have been a lot healthier for everyone involved if Booker just stayed ranked in the 80s as a high school recruit instead of blowing up to be this 5-star McDonald's All-American, because now expectations are, well, you better damn near score 15 a night and grab me 8 rebounds, and 6 of those 15 points better be at least 2 3-pointers. How loony do I sound right now? But I think it actually would help, though, if he just stayed in the 80s and everyone knew that he was going to be this project. And, hey, keep the expectations down on our young man Xavier Booker. Is that crazy, or is there some credence to it?
No, there is, because
Thanks.
It's like that with any recruit. I mean, obviously we're on the basketball topic, but look at our school, one of our neighborhood schools down in Ann Arbor right now. They paid an 18-year-old kid $1.2 million. And yeah, he was one of the best players of the country, but it's definitely more. But the point is, you don't know what this kid's going to be like. He may be there for a year and be like, oh, I don't like it here, because they're not going to run things how I run, and then he'll dip to Miami or Texas or wherever and get paid even more. So the kid could be a bust, or he may be the greatest thing since Tim Tebow or Vince Young. We don't know. And so that's why, my opinion, I just wish fans would just kind of just lower the expectations for a little bit. And I think too, and maybe this is just kind of the world we live in now with NIL.
Certainly.
When your star rating goes up, oh, I want my money. This is what I need. This is what I want. And it kind of goes to the recruit's head a little bit that they're a little bit bigger, that they're bigger and better than what their ranking makes them. So, so we live in a day and age now where kids see the rankings and it's this is what I want. This is how much I'm worth based on my star rating. And then the kid goes there and either A, pans out, or B, just becomes an absolute bust, because, you've seen enough basketball and football, Matt, where you see all these 4 or 5-star football recruits. They go play wherever. They don't play a lot. And it's nope, I'm done. Instead of developing, they go somewhere else. And it's the same with basketball. How many, I think there was, I can't remember who the point guard was that was at Michigan. He's on his 3rd school in his 4th year. And I'm you know who I'm talking about. You know who I'm talking about.
It's not Doug McDaniel, is it?
It's Doug McDaniel.
Okay.
Doug McDaniel. Yeah. He's in his 3rd school in his 4th year. And I was okay, either you didn't enjoy your time at the previous schools other than Michigan, or you're just taking the money and run, or you're not trying to get better. So obviously I think the rankings have a lot to do with it. And so, but again, trust the coach. Coach Izzo is known to develop talent, and, we all still have high expectations for the kid, but I think right now just kind of tamper back a little bit and just let him continue to develop, because there's a lot more things he needs to continue to get better at.
Tom Izzo would be just absolutely just ecstatic about your answer right there in the transfer portal. That was cut from the Tom Izzo cloth. Well said. I want to talk about 3-pointers here in a hot second because that's why I'm like at a 4 and not a 2. We'll get more into it in a little bit. I just have a stupid question for you. You
There's
ready
no
for this?
such thing as a stupid question. No such thing.
Okay, let's find out right now. Actually, look, I'm 5'9.5" if I wear the right pair of shoes. When I fall on the ground, more times than not, I can get back up, no problem. You mentioned, we all saw it, Simone Sapala, he hits the deck. This man is like 7'11", 300 pounds. He is a large man. AI, unless you've shrunk a considerable amount since I've seen you last time, you're also a very tall person. Yes, you haven't been 5'9" since you were probably in first grade. How much?
Fifth grade.
Okay, I wasn't too far off. Here's where the stupid question comes in. How much does it hurt when someone your size falls? Because like when he fell, I was like, oh my God, that might kill him. We might see the end.
It's a long way down. It's a long way down.
Time it with a calendar. Yeah, it's
because
tough.
like I'll give you a good example. So like when I was in high school, my junior year, I broke and displaced my humerus bone playing ultimate frisbee in class because I went up to jump for the frisbee. I caught it, but then I got undercut. I flipped in midair, and then my left shoulder hit the practice grounds. It was when we had a dry spell in the state, and my shoulder was all the way out here. But I think if I was like 5'5", I would have been all right.
So you'd be fine.
But because because like it's different. And there's that old saying. I think the old saying is "big tree fall hard" or something like that. Yeah,
sure.
That's us. That's us right there.
So, all right, to get back down like into the stats, long-term prognosis of this team here. The 3-point shooting hasn't been great for Michigan State. It's one of the more confounding things about this team. They are one of the worst, if not the worst, Izzo 3-point shooting team, yet they're the highest point per game team under Tom Izzo. And the real thing that I can't wrap my head around is like they came into this game as a top 5 free throw shooting team in the nation, but 347th in 3-point percentage. Usually those two numbers are at least somewhat close together because if you could shoot, you can shoot. But nevertheless, in this game, it was kind of an issue. 5 of 15 for Michigan State. They were 2 of 9 in the second half, and they're just trying to claw back from that lead. So this is where it's going to get not overly long-winded, I hope, but as far as like, hey, how far can this team go in March? What can this team do? You obviously saw how one team played against Michigan State. They took some guys off their 3-point shooters, put another guy in the paint. That slowed down the half-court offense. But, I did some research before the weekend here. In the last 10 NCAA tournaments, 40 Final Four teams. I did more math than that, but this is the sample size we're doing. The last 40 Final Four teams, just 11 of those teams were outside of the top 100 in 3-point shooting. Now, even 8 of those 11 teams were still above average. So they were like 100 to 150 something. So there's just 3 teams out of the 40 last Final Four teams that were below the national average in 3-point shooting. It was South Carolina in 2017. It was runner-up North Carolina in 2016 and Kentucky in 2014. I know it's just like 8-9 years, but basketball has still changed considerably. The 3-point shot, there's a lot of reliance on it now. Here you are as a Michigan State fan, 347th in the nation. Yes, you obviously can win games. Michigan just did it 13 times in a row. But with all that said, history tells you that you need to be at least somewhat adequate, if not good 3-point shooters. Are you worried after I just belted all that out? Or are you saying, you know what? No, the free throw numbers tell you that this team can actually shoot. It's all mental. They'll come out of their shell. This team's different. Like, did I bump your number up from 2 at all? Or I'm not trying to, but did I?
2.5.
Okay.
No, and like I think the stats you pulled up, that's pretty interesting because I never knew that before.
I was curious.
But the other thing is there's that old saying, shoot or shoot. Like our guys are going to shoot the ball. We know Jaden's capable. We know Jaden's a good shooter. We know Jace Richardson's going to hit some. We know, my only biggest thing is Jeremy Fears. He struggles. He's hot and cold from out there. Same with Jackson Kohler. But I'm not really too worried about it because if you watch the NCAA tournament over the years, the best 3-point shooting team may have the worst game ever, and it's going to bite them in the butt. Mm-hmm. And so that's why for me, like, it's like the go to work Pistons. Defense wins championships.
It does feel like that.
Yeah, defense wins championships. Right. So I think us being able to have, these upcoming games, like just these, sluggernaut games and just like going, I think it's going to help this team in the NCAA tournament. I think it's going to help them because, you're playing juggernauts like Purdue. You're going to play a really good Michigan team. You're going to play at Illinois. That's been struggling, but they're still good. You're going to play Indiana team that's not bad either, even though they're still hot and cold. You're going to play an Oregon team that's pretty talented too. So we're going to find out a lot. But, Michigan State won the national championship because of defense. They weren't exactly the greatest, 3-point shooting team. Mateen wasn't the greatest. Mo Pete was a good shooter. Charlie Bell was a good shooter. But they weren't like the best in the country or the best in the Big Ten. Like I know Illinois probably had that honor that year, or Ohio State. But Michigan State was all about defense and rebounding. So I think if they just stick to that identity, because there are a lot of teams that don't like to play physical ball. There's a lot of teams in the country that don't like that. And if you catch a team off their game because you're the more physical dominant team, then you're gonna walk away with wins. So I think obviously the focus should be just defensive rebounding, get in the paint too, because anytime we've gotten in the paint this year, Matt, good things have happened. Yeah. Actually, great things have happened. Like great things have happened. I mean, look what's the
13 wins in a row have happened.
There you go. Right. So I think for me, if you have a wide open shot, if Jaden Akins has a wide open shot, take it. But if you're covered, like drive the lane, and then I'm willing to bet Zapala or Kohler's guy is going to drop off, and then you're just going to dish it down on them for a layup. So I think on Tuesday you're probably going to see us get in the paint a little bit more too, because we don't want to turn to old school Wisconsin and live and die by the three. That's not how we are. That's not how we roll. So I think Iz is going to tell his guys to be more aggressive on the offensive end outside the 3-point line, obviously.
Just one more thought from this game, and I made a face when you brought up Jace Richardson. That's because, like I thought, it was interesting. He wasn't really on the court late in the game here, and that is one of – I was going to say one of your better shooters. No, like that is your best shooter right now. I mean, we're at this point far enough in the season where the sample size is big enough that, pretty much from 3-point land. I forgot the 2-point numbers, but nevertheless, the kid's really good. He's not mocked in the first round for no reason, but I thought that was interesting that it wasn't in – late. That could be a conversation for a different time if Michigan State gets in another hairy situation here. But any final thoughts here from UAI before we just get to one mailbag question? Or do you just want me to just unload this mailbag question once I find it in my notes here? There
unload the mailbag question, sir.
Let's go. JP had a good one, and what great timing because, hey, how about someone that was actually in the program for this one? He wrote in, had another question pop up in my brain given the success of the basketball team in college basketball. How do teams prepare for future games given the compactness of the schedule? Is it one at a time or kind of a rotation where certain assistant coaches look at the next game versus another group looks at the game after? Obviously, you played like, what was it at this point, 10, 12, 15 years? I've lost track of time.
Yeah, 12 years ago. Yeah.
Still the same head coach, though. I'm sure he runs things somewhat similar. So when it's 2 games on a road trip, back-to-back, is it truly just one game at a time, or are other coaches designated to already the game after that one? Or how is it? Take us inside of the Michigan State game planning here.
So our assistant coaches are assigned like scouting reports and film. And so there are times where we may play like Michigan, for example, and Dane Fife at the time is responsible for that for that scouting. And then the next game is like Northwestern or Wisconsin. Then Dwayne Stevens is working on that scouting. And then we play Penn State after Wisconsin, and Dane Fife's already working on it. So like this is where like, everybody gets so far ahead. Obviously you want to focus, but at the same time you want to be prepared. And I was actually having a conversation with my fiance about this the other day because we were at a dinner event at Ford Field, and we were talking about the Lions coming home. And she was like, do you think that the Lions just didn't prepare because they didn't know how to prepare during a bye week? And so I kind of told her, I said, what we did for the Big Ten tournament was my senior year, we were the 1 seed and we were playing Iowa or Indiana. So how do you scout that? So what we did was it was during spring break, we did 2-a-day practices. We would do Iowa scouting report in the morning and then do Indiana in the afternoon. And that's what we did for the next couple of days. Then when we got on the bus to go to Indianapolis, we saw Iowa beat Indiana. It's like, okay, now we're going to have a shoot around. We're going to go through the Iowa scouting. So, and obviously this is where our managers come into play. They don't get a lot of credit for this, but just like the behind the scenes stuff of getting all these scout reports ready, our video guys getting every single cut done of every team we're about to play. Like, I kid you not, when we get selected, when the tournament starts, we have every single scouting report on all 16 teams in our region, because we may play a 15 seed in the Elite Eight, and we're going to have that scouting report prepared. So,
right.
But yeah, that's how it's done. So it's not like in high school where you scout a team, you play them, then you scout the next team, so on and so forth. No, like every single assistant coach on that staff is responsible for scouting certain teams ahead of time, while at the same time making sure they keep their focus on who's in front of them.
Fascinating, because we've had Jake Schemmel. Yeah, because we've had Jake Schemmel. He's a former team manager, and we've had him on before March Madness to just talk about March Madness prep. And he said something very similar to what you're saying. Within 5 minutes of after selection Sunday, you get to know about all 16 teams in your little pod. They assign groups of people for, hey, you got to do film on this 16 seed. You got to just not recruit them, scout them.
Yeah.
We are going to play them guarantee, even though we're probably going to throw away all that tape within 6 seconds here. But fascinating, because I did not know how it works during the regular season. So that's a great question from JP. Equally great answer from you, AI. Just being the legend that you are. Look at you.
Well, we actually keep all that tape too, because if there's ever like in the future where we're playing, say if we ever play like St. Peter's or something like that, just randomly on the schedule, we'll go all the way back 5 years ago, be like, oh, they run this play. But then, so we may. The tapes never end up in the trash, man. Like, they stay in those archives for as long as they want to. Obviously, they'll update them, but they'll continue to stay there for as long as they need to.
Love that. See, that's the insight that we have AI on for. AI, you're a legend. Thanks a lot for chewing up some of your Saturday night with us here, man. Anything you want to plug before we let you go and enjoy the rest of your weekend and get ready for a sweaty game at 2 a.m. on Peacock on Tuesday, whatever?
I'm not ready for that. No, shout out to my fiance and her competitive figure skating team, Allegro. They placed second today at their Midwest sectional competition, and they are heading to nationals in Colorado Springs next month. So nice. Shout out to the future wifey. And I told you beforehand.
Yes, sir.
Told you I was going to do this, man, because we didn't do it during football season.
Cheers, my friend.
Baby.
Finished this whole thing during the game today. No, that's a lie. No, that was actually the 2021. Actually, here, I'll tell a story about this. Who cares? Everyone's logged off by now.
Let's roll.
So this is back in the 2021 Michigan State-Michigan game, the football game, of course. The last time we smiled being football fans. But we're down 16 points. I'm inside this apartment at this beautiful rental in Florida that the in-laws got. Very, very grateful for them. But I was even more grateful when my father-in-law came in with this here fireball handle. And right when he walked in, that's when the tide started to turn, AI. Ooh. Every single time we scored a touchdown, we would do another shot. If there's a turnover, shot for Michigan State. So I don't know if you can see this is loser behavior right here, but hey, you know what? I'm a loser, so be it. I kept that fireball fifth. And Kenneth Walker had a signing. I don't know if you can see it, but I got him to sign the fireball fifth. That was the luck charm from Florida. So
that's awesome.
Like that. So there we go. So that's a little peek into just how deranged it gets over here for my collection. That's probably the weirdest item I have. It's gotta be. What else could it possibly be?
What else could possibly top that, right?
I was just say, why am I even trying to think of anything else? It kind of just peaks there. All right, guys, it's not always like this after losses. Like, we do get upset sometimes during losses. And we were annoyed during the game, but we don't want to lose ever. But this is probably the most enjoyable post-game loss episode we've had here. So
I haven't seen you in almost a year.
It's been too long. So, I know.
I tried to see you during football season, and you were like, "Nope, I'm not coming back till this day." So
a 1-to-1 game, man. I know.
That has to change. It change, sir.
It does. My sister's making sure it doesn't happen. She's getting married on the Penn State game. So we'll see what event I'm at that day. Stay tuned, everyone. AI, you're the best, guys. All the viewers, all the listeners, especially those that are tuned in on Saturday night here to party with us, I guess. I really do appreciate you guys. We will be back again, locked on UCLA on Monday. We're going to have a very important game Tuesday that we got to get to know about the Bruins for. So, hey, guys, until then, take care of yourselves. Love you all. Go Green.
Go White.